Let's dive into the discussions shaping the nation.
Thank you very much, Cathy. I'm glad this morning to get the opportunity to raise the very serious plight of people in Knights Mountain, Knocknagoshel and Loira Compan, which is the one area with their bones together, ministers, and they have very little water there. In fact, their wells are obsolete now because the water is undrinkable. When we pour the water out of these, the wells that they had, it is like a cup of coffee. It has gotten brown and they just can't drink it anymore, and there's up to 18 houses involved here. Now the same applies and the cost of the group extinction is too prohibitive in this instance, where the line is expected linked of the distance of bringing the water to them from the supply that's passing. It's 4.8 kilometres away from them, and the cost of the overall scheme would be €720,000 at a price that was given 2 years ago, so it would be more expensive now. And you see, the individual, there's up to 18 houses here, is my understanding. And individually they would have to contribute 45,000 each per house, and maybe down to somewhere between 38 or 9 down up to 45,000 per house, which is totally unprohibitive. It is prohibitive. Then we have areas in Guinea and two particular places, Knocknaseed to Bernard, and from Coombe over to Bernard, but there is 5 and 7 houses in each case that can't get a connection because of the cost. The cost of the group scheme is too prohibitive. And then thirdly, we have high areas up in Castle Island where the pressure goes down in the summertime and when water is scarce. Places like Dooneen, Crag, and Churchtown and Glounsharoon. These people suffer very bad water pressure during the later on in the summer when water gets scarce every year. And all they're asking for is a mile of an extension where there's an adequate supply coming from the Brosna side. But for years now they've been asking for this, and they have been left behind. So I'm asking here, ministers, very seriously to consider to do something for these people, because, as I said, water is a basic human right. And today, we remember there a few weeks ago when houses were without water for 4, 5 or 6 days, which was terrible. But can you imagine to be without water every day, all day, and week after week? And look, they tried to get this going, this group scheme, the crowd, the people in Knights Mountain, in 2022. And the price they got that time was €720,000. And as I said, even after the grant, they would have to pay somewhere up to €45,000 per household. That's not on at all, ministers, and we must help those people. And if you can't provide the money or do it for them, it's Kerry County Council, the local authority, that administers the group water scheme, and it has to be done to Irish Water's standards, and you see, which require top class, top standard work, and they insist on that. And the cost is so prohibitive, he'll have to do something to allow them either to help them to lay the main themselves. These roads are very quiet, Minister, and they could work along the side of the road themselves. Do something, please, to help these people to get going and to ensure that they have water.
Thank you very much for raising this issue, Deputy Healy-Rae. There's two very important matters that we'll try to address today. And firstly, I just want to outline some of the schemes that are available. And I appreciate you've pointed out what they might cost per household, but I think it might be helpful to outline them. There are a number of grants available through local authorities under the Department's Rural Water Programme to support householders to carry out improvement works to their private water supplies. The amount of grant funding available to household is 85% of the approved cost for a new well, subject to a maximum grant of €5,000. And you outlined that there's issues with wells in this area in terms of the water quality that is provided. There's 85% of the approved cost for well rehabilitation work, subject to a maximum grant of €3,000. That's obviously if there's a grant well in place already. And then 100% of the approved costs for works that are necessary to treat the water to meet the water quality standards set out in the drinking water regulations, subject to a maximum grant of €1,000. There are also 9 individual funding measures under the most recent cycle of the multi-annual water programme, which covers the period 2024 to 26. Each funding measure is directed at a specific activity, for example, source protection, water treatment, network improvements, etc. There are 2 measures that are focused on the provision of safe and secure piped water supply to the household, currently without such a supply, where it is technically and economically viable to do so. Under the programme, these measures are Measure A5 and Measure A7. Measure A5 provides funding support for extensions to existing group water schemes and the development of new standalone group water schemes. The measure supports the continued expansion of pipe water supplies to those parts of rural population that cannot be served by public water supplies. The grant funding available is 85% of the costs necessary and approved work subject to a maximum of €15,000 per household. Measure A7 provides funding for community water connections. This measure too supports the continued expansion of pipe water supplies to those parts of the rural population reliant on private wells that can be served by the public Uisce water supplies. The funding provided under this measure enables Uisce taking in charge a network constructed to an appropriate standard. The amount of grant funding available is 85% of the cost of necessary and approved work, subject again to a maximum of €15,000 per house connected. So my department is committed to delivering improvements to water services in areas of rural Ireland where there are no public services. In respect of the public water supply aspect raised by the Deputy, Uisce has confirmed that Lyre Crumpan is a scheme that they are currently upgrading. However, Uisce outlined that they have not received any notifications of any supply issues in this area. In addition, Uisce confirmed that Knights Mountain, Knockariddara, is not currently part of any scheme, and there are no plans in place to extend this area. Both Niamh Gillia and Castle Island are part of the Central Regional Lochatáin supply, where there is ample capacity. Some of Uisce's team are currently working on replacing 3 kilometres of water mains from the reservoir in Castle Island in the town as part of their mains rehabilitation programme. However, Uisce are not aware of any pressure issues on the Castle Island supply. Now, I know, Deputy, that may contradict some of what you're saying in terms of the issues that people are having in the regions of Kerry that you're talking about, in terms of supply issues, in terms of the cost per house. And I agree with you in what you said in your opening statements. Basic running water should be a right of any human being and any household. So what I will absolutely undertake to do is take back these issues that you've raised here today. Clearly, Uisce is saying that they have no reports of people raising issues in that area, so I would urge anyone in that area to contact Uisce, and there's a helpline there that they can contact and report any underlying issues that they have. And I undertake, we have in our department a section that deals directly with Uisce, and I will undertake to raise the issues that you've raised here and ensure that you get an adequate and proper response back, especially if you're saying that households will have to fork out in the region of €45,000. That can't happen, that's not acceptable.
Thank you very much, Minister. But you see, I hear you saying there that Uisce haven't heard anything or know nothing about it. But you see, I did mention to you that it is Kerry County Council that has the responsibility in the first place to group water schemes and to administer those schemes. Now, I'm kind of amazed that Kerry County Council haven't liaised with Uisce in this case. But the facts are, as I've outlined to you very clearly, these people applied back, especially those in Lyre Crumpan. They applied back in 2022 and they failed to get it going. And you said there that there's a grant of up to 15,000. But you see, you never said that there's a minimum requirement of having 25 houses. What about the 7 and the 5 and the 18 houses that I've mentioned there? And there's several others like them. I mean, the grant must apply, you must consider the smaller number as well. And 18 is almost there in my book. But you can't have that everywhere. And I'm amazed also that Irish Water aren't aware of the pressure problems up in the higher areas of Castle Island. And I know they're doing works, but that's going a different way. That's going into town, where there was a massive amount of breaks from Ballymacadam and down to the main street in Castle Island. And that's dealing with a different issue. But the areas up in Craig, they have no drop of water for half the summer every whole year. Now, I'm asking you to go back and get Kerry County Council to liaise with Irish Water, if that makes a difference. But as Kerry County Council are responsible for the group water scheme and the provision of it. So, and to make it more friendly for the people that needs water, to do something, and this 26, a minimum of 26 houses, that can't be entertained when 5 or 7 houses and 18 houses don't have any water, and where their wells went wrong. These people have done everything possible. They've drilled wells in different places and everything, and they don't have drinking water at the present time. I'm asking you to do something about this in this government's time.
Yeah, thanks again, Deputy Healy-Rae. And look, I completely appreciate where you're coming from with this, and I just want to reiterate that, look, under the recent review of the rural water programme, the amount per household was increased from 9,000 to 15,000. But I accept there has to be some degree of flexibility, especially when you're a smaller number of houses impacted, and that's something certainly I'll be relaying back to the department. You know, this isn't just an issue in Kerry. You know, there are areas in my area as well in West Cork where we've seen pressure issues in particular, where as soon as there's break after break after break, and what we're seeing is Ishgarin, they'll replace the next section, and then they're just moving the problem down the line. And what's needed in many of these situations is a substantial overhaul of the water supply. And I can tell you, this is serious, I'm not making light of it, the people in certain parts of Lissavard, in particular in Rathbarry, were happy to see the Healy-Rae vans on site a number of years ago when they were in replacing the pipe network in around there. And the problem was solved, and it was fantastic. But these black spots exist right around West Cork. They exist in Kerry, obviously. I think there has to be a programme of replacing these pipes so that we sort out the water pressure issue. But I will take back your point in relation to the group water schemes and the fact that where there's smaller groups of houses, that they seem to be left out of these group water scheme programmes. But you know, 15,000, that is a significant amount per household. But obviously, if it's an issue where they don't have the, if it's an issue where the necessities for 25 houses and some areas are being left out, that's something I will undertake to take back to the department and see if it can be investigated and see if there can be some level of flexibility in these areas of Kerry, because I know how frustrating it can be when you don't have a decent, adequate water supply. And areas in urban areas never have any issue with water supply. So I will take it back, Deputy, and thanks for raising it again.
Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.